Welcome back in, everybody. This is Tucker. Let's talk weather. In today's forecast, we're breaking down a massive pattern flip and temperatures 100 degrees warmer than they were last week. And don't get too used to the quiet weather. I have an early warning for more active conditions as we begin the month of March. Welcome back in, guys. Really happy to have you here. Wanted to start by looking at some of the extreme cold that we had just last week. This was February 19th, and it really was about as cold as we've been all winter. That's a huge area, a huge populace dealing with temperatures 20 degrees below zero. It was below zero into Texas. And if you experienced any of this, please share your experience in the comments. But we're seeing a huge change now. Some of these spots are going to be nearly 100 degrees warmer as we go into this week, and that's where we start our forecast now. As always, I like to start with the weather above our heads because that's what translates down to the surface. It's how you make a sound weather forecast. And this was the air mass last week. Those purples, those pinks, that tells you it was Arctic cold. And this spanned across a good chunk of the country. Basically, everything to the east of the Rockies was underneath this frigid air. But as we move this forward in time, you're going to see those brighter orange colors and red colors begin to take hold. That, of course, is a warmer air mass, and we quickly see this dive in, comparatively warmer out of the north, and you're going to see this leading edge really take over the central U.S. as we head into Monday the 24th and continue to move eastwards as we head later into the week. And here we are by Wednesday, almost the entire U.S. with the exception of the Northwest, which is still dealing with some very active weather that we're going to get into later in this video too. With that exception, it's very warm across the U.S. by the middle of the week relative to average. And even as we head into March, you're going to see that mild air stick around, although the other thing we're going to talk about later on in this video is that we do see a new pattern regime emerge. That colder air out east, that's going to be a huge player in our weather starting off the first week of March. So stay tuned for that as well, and the chances for snow that come along with it. Let's talk actual temperatures now, and we'll start with Sunday afternoon when highs, wherever you're seeing those yellow and orange colors, reach the 60s and 70s. And that does include South Dakota. With enough wind and melting, we could see highs reach 60, good for about a 100-degree temperature swing in less than a week. Things become even more extreme as we head into your Monday. Anywhere you're seeing these yellow and orange colors, again, pretty well into the Dakotas, you're talking about temps in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s in Texas, and a chance to reach 90 in the southeastern U.S. So we really warm up fast. We see some of the most extreme warming occur on Tuesday. There is the possibility to reach 70 somewhere up there around Nebraska, perhaps even South Dakota, which could be good for an insane 110-degree temperature swing in less than a week. Also staying very warm much farther to the south here. We'll move this forward even further. Your Thursday, getting a little bit cooler, but still very mild. We're talking about widespread 50s and 60s across the central U.S. Still very warm in the south and east out there. And as we keep moving this forward, here's your Friday. I'll move this into Saturday as well. That mild air not leaving at all, except for one area. Take a look at the Northeast. This is as we get into the beginning of March. You're looking at Sunday, March 2nd. That is some really cold air returning to the northeastern U.S. Highs that may not even reach 30 once again. And all the while, areas in the southeast and central U.S. are still partying with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. So what happens here is interesting. We see the potential for more storms and a big shift. Let's jump into that right now. As we shift into our futurecast now, I wanted to show you a few things that I'm looking at, and we're going to actually just take a quick look at the Northwest here too, where you heard me talking about the potential for storms, and there's one as we get through the back half of the weekend. Also a chance for rain out here in the southeastern U.S. Nothing crazy, but that storm in the Northwest will bring a lot of rain and snow, especially as we get into the week. That system is just coming on shore here as we move into Tuesday, and that'll bring a lot of wind out there too. So just something to be watching. Again, some rain and storms out here by Florida as well on Tuesday, but otherwise, most of the U.S. is very quiet, and it's going to stay that way at least for a little bit here this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all going to be quiet days in the country. Even into Friday, we're going to be on the quieter side. We got a little sliding system passing through here in the Northeast. That could bring some snow to the mountains, which already have a ton of snow out there. But this high pressure system, very dominant and keeping the country clear. High pressure, by the way, it works by basically forcing air to sink, and that prevents storm systems from really developing in simple terms. So when you see the big blue H, that's why it does what it does. I always like to explain the why in weather. But as we move into the start of March, we're going to begin to see some more activity. A little clipper system diving down here, another system hitting the coastline in the northwest. But we'll really be watching for systems to develop right around here, as that's where a baroclinic zone, as we call it, begins to form. And you're going to see this actually begin to get underway as we head into the first week of March. Now, exactly where this system is centered, we don't know yet. But I do at least personally feel it's likely we see something develop, and that could bring some big time weather to a good chunk of the eastern U.S. and the Midwest. Severe weather certainly, at least I would expect a piece of this forecast. And we're moving this pretty far out, so this is all subject to change. But what I want to mention is that the potential for a few more storm systems seems very likely to me, and these ones may be quite impactful. You're looking as far out as the end and the beginning of the second week of March. So we're talking about the 8th and 9th. And with that, you can tell this more active pattern. It is going to be in the beginning of March, and it may continue through that second week. But this is something that we'll be watching closely, and you want to check back for updates on. But before we wrap up this video, I do want to give you a quick sneak peek at those first 2 weeks and where we may see that active weather in terms of probability. And here's the forecast from the Climate Prediction Center, very similar to what we've been talking about right here. But I want to show you they are also expecting that colder than average weather in the northeastern U.S. and some colder than average weather out west, whereas the south central U.S. should be pretty warm. Now, what this says is that we may have the ingredients necessary for snow out here, and certainly that is very important when you consider that the pattern becoming more active in March is going to feature above average precipitation across most of the country. And in that same area we highlighted right around here, you have above average precip and below average temperatures, which based on everything I've looked at, is supported by their forecast, suggesting that snow may be more likely in that first week of February, and certainly even into the second week. I meant to say March there, by the way. But we're looking at that possibility for sure, and it looks like, I believe at least, we're going to see more activity in terms of snowfall in the mountains out west. So our pattern certainly staying more active as we begin March, and with that, enjoy the quieter conditions that we are experiencing, at least for now. So if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe so you can get more weather updates. I got a March breakdown coming out very soon here. And as always, if you have any questions about weather, about science, about myself, you can feel free to ask those in the comments. Don't be shy. Really happy to have you all here as I get this YouTube channel rolling. And hopefully we get to see you again as we do more videos moving forward. Have a good day, guys.